Welcome to the fourth episode of the GTA Biz here at the Best Media Studios in Toronto. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, every week we have a different business owner in different industries that share their expertise on how to grow their business. Today we have Mark Belaiche, the president of Torontojobs.ca, an internet recruitment and staffing company specializing in helping companies find candidates in the Greater Toronto Area. Am I right, my friend?
You are correct.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us today on this beautiful sunny day. So, tell us.
Where do we go?
Tell us what an internet recruitment company is and what you do for people.
So, years ago, I got into recruiting. I've been in recruiting now for 24 years. And when the trend, everything started moving to the internet, it was like, okay, well, all the jobs are moving from the newspaper to the internet. Everything's online. So at that time, which was 2005, thought, this would be a great platform to have listings of jobs and companies applying or posting their jobs and people applying directly to those postings, and they could connect. So it's a portal for employers and job seekers to connect.
So this has been going since 2005.
2005, yeah.
So you're a decade plus old.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 14 years now. So
wow.
Yeah, we got a great team, and we just keep pounding stuff. And really, it's become our welcome mat as a company for people to know what we do. So, a lot of people, I'm sure, like yourself, like you want to know about a company, you type the company name, like what does the website look like, what do they do, and that's our welcome mat. It's been great. I mean, we've we always use the Google search, Toronto space jobs, and we always look, hey, where are we at? And we've gone over the years, number 1, number 3, number 2. We're always in the top 3 kind of thing, and we try to keep hitting those like keywords to try to figure out, what will be there. But we think of recruitment firms. We think of Recruitment Firms Toronto. We think of jobs in Toronto, Torontojobs. We look at I think Yahoo search, Bing, not just Google, because Google's obviously the big juggernaut, but there's people that search on all the different search engines, and then we try to do a lot of backlinks to from other companies as well, and partnerships. So the more partnerships we have, and the more they share our logo and our links, then the better it is for our traffic. And we notice certain spikes during the day and during the week and the month.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So most entrepreneurs, especially new ones, they always want to know, how did this all start?
Yeah.
How did this start? You wake up one morning and say, look, I want to help out people find jobs. Like, how did this all go down?
Well, I've been in recruiting, just plain recruiting, not the online side of it. I was in recruiting. I was working at a company. I was an employee. And I started reading books about being an entrepreneur, and I hit 40 years old. And as I read that, or as I was reading, these materials, they said that the average age that somebody starts a business is 40. So I was like, wow, I'm like right bang on. There's
40?
40, yeah. Now it may have changed. This is like 14 years ago, so it may be actually lower because it's a lot easier to get going on a company these days than it was back in 2005. So, I started reading these books. I started taking online tests, and what kind of personality are you? Like, am I an entrepreneur? My dad is retired now, but he was a veterinarian on Yonge Street, and he ran a business, and he works 7 days a week. Like, animals sleep, but they need care every day. Yeah. So he went into the clinic every day, and he he kind of taught me about entrepreneurship and about being there and it's 24/7, and I love that. A lot of people don't like that, but I loved it. I liked watching it. It was like, the harder I work, the better I do. The better I do, the more I can do, and the more I can grow and all that. So being an employee has its pros. There's no doubt about that. But being an entrepreneur, if you're that mindset, it just that's great. So how it started was just that, and then I got into deciding, what kind of business do I want to run? What kind of, I've been in recruiting, but what does that mean? Do I just start up my own recruitment firm? And I thought about that, but I wasn't too keen that I wanted to stay with that. I had been doing it for a good 10 years at that point. And I was like, I need to do something different. So I went through, the NAICS codes or SIC codes. I started going through those and one by one and just kind of going, okay, well, I'm not a farmer, so forget that. I'm not a manufacturer, so forget that. And as I started going down the list, it was like, okay, job board. Wow, what's that all about? So I started doing a lot of research on that and realized that this was it. I could use my recruiting, I could use the online trend, and use my contacts and just have a platform to do that. Now, it's grown a lot since then, the company, and it's changed directions a lot of times. But that's learning, right? As part of the learning process of an entrepreneur, you got to think of where you want to be and what people will buy, what your clients are willing to pay for. And as the explosion of job boards started happening, it was everybody just assumed I could get it for free. And so we had to change and get new revenue streams, and we did that with our job fairs. We started doing job fairs. We started doing the Toronto Entrepreneurs Conference. We just launched.
Yeah, let me ask you about the Toronto Entrepreneur Conference. What's that all about? Tell me what a day at this conference would look like.
Yep. So there's three different elements to it. One is a networking component for sure. Two is there's a trade show. So we usually get anywhere from 60 to 100 exhibitors that are specifically targeting business owners. So we get the banks like HSBC, RBC, and so on, and we get law firms, we get accounting firms, we get anybody that supplies products or services to entrepreneurs that are there. And then the third thing is we have speakers that talk about how to grow your business, how to manage certain aspects of it, whether it's marketing, whether it's accounting, tax planning, succession planning, what's your company worth, all those things that interest entrepreneurs come to those speakers. So those are kind of the three elements: the networking, the trade show, and the speakers. It's a one-day event. It's held twice a year, once in Mississauga in the spring and once in Toronto in the fall. So our next one's coming up on November 27th at the Metro Toronto Convention Center. So it's become.
And how do people find out about this? Do they go on your website?
Yeah, Torontojobsca.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have exhibitor.
What's the cost of it?
So it's actually free for entrepreneurs. Yeah, we want business owners to be there. We charge for exhibitors to be there and sponsors. But yeah, we want entrepreneurs to be out there and network.
And when was the first conference?
The first one was in 2011.
2011.
Yeah, we had.
It's been going on for a while. That's amazing.
Yeah, our 2011 one was actually Robert Herjavec from Dragon's Den and Shark Tank, and we had him as the keynote speaker. And we always get our draw is our keynote speaker. Like that's where that inspiration to other entrepreneurs to say, hey, I that person did it, I can do it. So we've had Robert DeLuce from president of Porter Airlines. We've had Larry Rosen from Harry Rose and the Sun. We've had Christine McGee from Sleep Country. We've had Bruce Bowser from AMJ Campbell. We've had a who's who list of these entrepreneurs, like Chris Pfaff from Pfaff Automotive, right? You go, well, I've heard of it or seen it, or maybe I bought a car there. But it's like there's a story behind it, and it's just really cool to hear all these stories.
Some great people they have there.
Yeah.
So what's the attendance look like?
We usually get over 3,000 registrants that come. So I think we say, as far as we know, it's the biggest entrepreneur conference in the country, and because it's local and it's Toronto entrepreneurs. We actually have a lot of people that come in from out of town, from out of the country to check it out, and. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's just a great networking opportunity for business owners. And I always say, hey, like if I'm interested in it, there's going to be hundreds of other people that are going to be interested, if not thousands. So
whether you are an entrepreneur, want to become an entrepreneur, it's definitely a conference you want to be at.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So Torontojobs.ca, I understand there is three elements to this, right? You're placing people.
Yep.
You're working with companies. Find people. Yeah. And what's the third one?
Well, we have the events. Well, the entrepreneurs falls under our events. So we actually do 9 or 10 events a year. So we do 5 job fairs now because we've just added a tech job fair. We do the 2 Toronto Entrepreneurs Conferences. We do the 2 Toronto Recruiters Conferences a year. And then we actually do a music expo. I know you may want to talk about some of the hobbies and things like that I personally do. But I put on a music expo once a year, which is Very cool. So that's under our events division, and then we have the recruiting division and the staffing division. They are fairly evenly split.
And you cater just to the GTA?
Just the GTA, yeah. We do get companies like exhibitors that come from out of town. So we've had for say Toronto entrepreneurs, we've had companies from Ottawa, Montreal that want to grow the Toronto market. As far as the recruiting side, I think we've done a placement in Calgary. It's all by Skype, so it's not like it's I got to fly there or whatever.
So let's the value that you would give to a business owner contacts you. They're looking for, let's just say they're in what's one of the major industries that you deal with?
I
know there's various different ones,
yeah.
but let's just say a top one that you specialize in.
Yeah, I guess it would be we do a lot of accounting.
Accounting?
Placements. Yeah, a lot of accounting placements.
Business owner calls you. I'm looking for. Would they be looking for a CPA or a controller, administration?
It could be anything.
Could be anything. Let's just say they want to fill up their administration office with making sure, bringing someone in that could take care of receivables and payables and whatnot, right? What value does your organization give to that business owner? Yeah. Instead of him going out on Kijiji and various different other platforms that are available for a business owner to go on. Yeah. What do you offer them?
So, before I got into recruiting, before I knew anything about recruiting, I just heard things about recruiters and how much they charge. I'm like, really? Like for one person to find and so on and so forth. And now that I've been on the other side for so many years, I know, okay, you know what, there's training costs, there's staff, there's administration, there's overhead, there's advertising. There's the time factor. There's insurance. There's all E&O insurance, errors and omissions. It
goes on and on and on the list, eh?
Right. So you think, oh well, all you're doing is pulling a resume, but there's a lot more that goes into it. And the financing part of it too. Like you have a client, they make a placement and then they might not pay for 30 days, so you got that time in too. So kind of to answer your question, what do we do for a business owner? I mean, we would effectively search for candidates, shortlist the list of candidates, to really specifically go into that area, set up the interviews, and negotiate the offer when it comes to that. Go back and forth as the middleman, and then see it all the way through till the person starts and beyond. So it's very similar to a. I always compare it to the recruiting industry to the real estate industry. So you have brokers and agents that say somebody hires an agent to sell their house. Well, that's kind of similar to a company looking to fill a position. So that their position is the house, and they need somebody to buy the house, so to speak. Kind of analogy. So we do both sides as a recruiter. We do both sides. We find the company that's looking for somebody, so they're the ones looking to sell the house, and we're also looking on both sides to find the candidate or the buyer that is going to buy that house. And it's actually a lot more work than people think, because it's finding the right person and screening them and making sure that it's the right match. It's people think, oh, you're just shuffling resumes around and stuff like that, and there is that element to it, but it's a lot more than that. And until you're in the industry, you really don't know. But there's a certain style or a strategy that you follow. And you guys don't get paid unless you place. That's right. So there's a lot of front end work that you guys are doing. Yeah, many times. I mean, it's a contingency. 99% of firms, give or take, in the Toronto area are contingency firms. So we don't get paid until the placement's made. And then the 1% are retainers. So the company might say, I'll give you something beforehand just to start executing the search. But those are usually at a more senior level. But like I said, 99% are contingency. So we do a lot of work, and then we might have a candidate, and then the client, after spending 30, 40, 50 hours or whatever it is, the client ends up saying, well, you know what, we found somebody on our own, or we're gonna move somebody internally, or we're going to put that position on hold and we're just going to leave it at that. So a lot of work has gone into it, and then you get nothing. So it's most people have well, everybody has a certain opinion of recruiters in some form or another, good, bad, or otherwise. And it really depends on if they got a job through a recruiter or if they didn't, on the candidate side. On the client side, did they fill the position or not? Yeah, that's really what it comes down to.
Well, you know what? Most business owners, they want to take that position upon themselves, and it does take a lot of time. Mm-hmm. So as a business owner, depending on what you're doing, where are you going to put your time? Right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to use a recruiter that you don't have to put out any money in the front end, right? It's all on contingency. Why wouldn't you do it? Right?
Exactly.
They want to do it themselves, and they may not have the skills to do it. They may think they do. And I've heard in the past, most people think that it's easy, but until they actually go through the whole process and hiring people and finding out that, later on in the whole process of hiring them that they actually did it the wrong way. So you guys play a huge part in growing a company.
Yeah, and also another advantage of a recruiter is there is a guarantee on that placement. Yeah. So if the person doesn't work out, they'll find a replacement.
Do most do that, or just some? Is it a standard to give a guarantee?
Pretty much, yeah. You give some kind of guarantee. Usually it's 3 to 6 months, depending on the level of the position. Yeah. But that's another advantage of using an agency versus if you do it yourself. Yeah. You don't have any guarantees that the person will work out.
And for a candidate, for them, looking for a job, it would be in the best interest to contact you because, they're busy doing what they're doing now. If they're working somewhere and they're looking for some new opportunity, or if they're not, they're only going to come across what they can see. Yeah. And what they don't see is some of those great opportunities that you end up getting because you work with great companies that they could have an opportunity, right? And it's no cost to them, am I correct?
Exactly.
So reaching out to you.
Yeah.
Now, can they deal with multiple recruiters?
Yep.
They can.
Absolutely, yeah. And there are some agencies that will say, ask people to sign, very rare, but they'll ask them to sign something to say you're exclusively using us and nobody else, but it's very few.
That?
No, we don't do that. It's very few and far between. But yeah, a person can go to multiple agencies. The negative side about that is that, say both agencies are working on the same job and they call that candidate, and then now the company finds out that they've been the same candidate is presented by 2 recruiting firms to that client, and it does happen actually more often than you might think. So that can be a challenge in the recruiting world from a candidate's perspective. But absolutely, recruiters are in the know of the market. They're in the know of what types of positions are open, and they're also part of that hidden job market, which is really, really big. And the hidden job market basically is jobs that are never advertised. And I think of many situations where a client might call me and never advertise the job anywhere. They call me and they say, Mark, I'm looking for whatever it is. I go out and I reach out to people I know and I present those candidates, and one of those candidates gets the job. That was never advertised. You may think, well, it's going through a recruiting firm. How is it not advertised? Well, it's not advertised. So.
Do you do temp?
Yep. Yeah. So temp, perm, contract type stuff too. So it can be 3 months, 6 months. Sometimes we get maternity leave coverage. Sometimes we get short-term or longer-term disability type placements as well. So it's we run the gamut. We run the gamut of everything. We've touched on so many different roles. It's crazy.
So you're having these conferences twice a year.
Yeah.
You have interested job seekers come to you and want to look for different opportunities. You have businesses that contact you on a regular basis looking to fill positions. And what's the next thing?
Well, I mean, the job fairs are a big part of our business. So we have usually 50 to 60 companies that exhibit at our job fairs, and we get upwards of 4,000 people that come to the job fairs. And they're held in Mississauga at the Living Arts Center and in Toronto at Roy Thompson Hall. And we connect. We really connect people. That's all we do is we connect people with other people. So connect exhibitors with job seekers. And I can show you some pictures or whatever, but the lineups at some of these booths, we have like companies like Air Canada, CIBC that exhibit, and the lines at their booth, like people will wait half an hour to talk to a recruiter there. And it's phenomenal.
Awesome! I love to see them. Nick, when he puts together the video part of it. Make sure you submit them, and I'm sure he can put them a part of it. Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, I mean, there's so many people in the city. You know, the city's grown so much. I don't know, you grew up too, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It's
like
crazy.
You know, it's growing so much. We're running out of room.
Yeah,
like, you know, real estate's popping, and there's nowhere for anybody to live here anymore. We're running out of land.
You got to go outwards.
Yeah,
north, east, west. But yeah, no, it's a great city. I mean, you know, too, right? I mean, it's just amazing the vibe in the city, the employment. Like Toronto's becoming a really tech city. You know, tech jobs, a lot of tech jobs, a lot of tech. Excuse me, a lot of tech. You know, jobs, companies, a lot of startup companies that are, you know, in that. And then you got the Ubers of the world that are also, you know, in that tech thing. You know, people might think, oh, they're more of a transportation company, but they're a tech company too. And so we've seen the growth in tech in Toronto, and that's why we're doing this tech job fair.
You think the government's, you know, playing or doing their share in helping out with that with that tech space, expanding it?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty supportive with job seeking, but I think sometimes they're also stuck in that old mentality too. Well, you know, manufacturing and infrastructure and things like that, which are important. Don't get me wrong, but you know, the world is changing in the manufacturing world, and you know, infrastructure is good too because it creates jobs. But you know, the tech sector is just, you know, you talk to the newer graduates, and they want to go into that space. They want to go in stuff that's computers. Yeah. They don't want to go really into skilled trades. It's really hard actually finding skilled trades people in any sense of the word. But yeah, it is definitely moving Toronto. That is into
in my real estate division, it's very, very difficult to find tradespeople.
Yeah,
nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to be underneath the sink changing a P-trap or changing a faucet.
That's right.
You know, and those jobs are actually starting to pay a lot more than what they used to, because supply and demand.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to do it.
Yeah.
So
it's really hard. Drivers.
I tell everyone, follow the money.
Drivers,
they're paying a tremendous amount of money per mile, more than what they, and that's part of our food costs going up.
That's
and
right.
Various different other things, right? So everyone wants to go tech, and then nobody wants to drive the truck.
Drivers, tech, or drivers, labor, or general labor, warehouse. You know, all these you know, electricians, plumbers, like all those jobs are very, very hard to find people, and it's unfortunate because, like you said, the salaries, the hourly rates are going up.
Yeah, the money's there.
Yeah,
it's just that people don't want to do it.
Yeah,
I'm guessing that's,
they'd rather go into tech.
Yeah.
So I think I've read or heard that Toronto is the second biggest tech hub after San Fran, like that. You know, Menlo Park and all that kind of stuff. I think Toronto is in North America. That is.
Aren't they building something by the docks?
Yeah,
by the beaches area.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. Some tech.
Google, what's it called? Google City or something? Or
have they passed that? That's gone through already.
I think so. Yeah, I think.
Should look into that.
Google's putting a ton of money into that, and I think what they're doing actually is they're going to measure. They're going to track everything, you know, like the Truman Show. Remember the Truman Show? And he's like, everything's like monitored. It's kind of, I think it's going to be like that. Like how many steps people take, how many, you know, where they go, like all that. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And what's really, really cool about that, because I've seen the video on this, is that the people's houses are in actually train cars, like train... you know, like just a box, and these boxes can be designed like a lot of things. I mean, it's got a toilet, it's got running water, it's got a shower and all that. Like inside, you would not know that you're actually in a thing. But what they would do is, if you have to move, they just put it on a train and move it around. And and that's how you move houses. And I think that's what they're really testing. Like they're looking at that as a way of the future. I mean,
So we're running out of space.
Yeah, it blows your mind, right? Because they can make them wherever, like they can make them as
Stack them
high.
on top of each other's stuff.
Yeah, be very creative. And use
Or
a
those
lot of
containers, they've made those containers into homes. I'm not sure where I sell that. I sell that on Discovery Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be what
Yeah.
you're
Yeah, people are buying containers for like $10,000. The ones that they put on those big ships and then they'll turn them into houses.
Yeah, yeah.
And you would never know when you're inside. You would never know that you're actually in a container.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Hey, you know what? You got running water.
Yeah.
You got heat.
Yeah.
You're all good.
Well, you're moving
electricity.
Yeah, if you're happy with the house, you move your house, and that's it.
Yeah.
Put it on a train and go to Vancouver.
Well, Mark, it was awesome to have you on the show.
Yeah.
For everybody looking for placement, businesses looking for candidates, people looking for some new opportunity, contact Torontojobs.ca.
Okay.
Mark,
Thank you.
it's a pleasure.
Nice seeing you. Thanks very much for the invite.